Hello and welcome to a new episode of Foodocracy for Her. Foodocracy for Her is a podcast which focuses on women in the F&B industry. And today I've got a very interesting person who's taken part in MasterChef, who's come into food pretty late in life and now is doing some exciting stuff. And here we've got Deepa Chauhan with us. And hi, Deepa. Like normally I should do longer introductions, but I thought it's better to get the participants to do most of the speaking.
Sure. Hi,
So great to
Kalyan.
have you on board. Yes, yes.
Thank you for having me on your podcast, Kalyan.
No, it's great. I mean, I've been following your work for a while, and then when we met for the first time over coffee, before, of course, we had your meals. Ever
Right.
since then, I felt that we should have a chat, like outside of, like a cafe where, other people can also join in, like we're doing today. So,
Right.
Deepa, you're a Bombay girl, right? Now living in
Yes.
Bangalore. Yes,
I
yes.
grew up in Bombay. I lived there for 39 years.
Okay,
Uh, and we moved to Bangalore in 2003. We were here for a year.
okay.
And my husband was transferred back.
Hmm.
And I think the girls and I missed Bangalore too much. The schools, the houses,
Yeah,
everything, the weather mainly.
yeah.
Uh, so 6 years later, I moved with them so that they could get a better education and I could have a slightly easier life in terms of breathing easy on the girls,
Yeah,
commute to school
yeah,
and things
yeah,
like that. So yeah, and that led to one thing led to another. I got more interested in food.
yeah,
We were living outside Bangalore in a village called Jakkur.
yeah, yeah.
And,
Okay.
in 2003, there was nothing here. Even in till 2014, 15, we had very few
Oops, I lost you. So the weather in Bangalore might be nice, though I believe it's hot this year, but they have power breaks. And so Deepa is just back. And Deepa, you were telling us about how when you moved into the village outside Bangalore, there was nothing there much at that point. Very different from Bombay, I guess.
yeah, there were darshanis and local food and all.
Hmm.
And my
Darshini,
girls were
just to sort of this thing, a very basic sort of South Indian coffee shops, right? You get filter coffee and dosa
stand
and
and
all of
eat
that.
joints, basically.
Yeah,
Very, very
because people
basic.
won't know. Yeah, stand and eat
Yeah,
sort of. Yes, yes, yes.
right. So, so yeah, so when they were looking for some difference in their plates, or they wanted to have a slightly different meal and not trek into the city, I started cooking more and more international food, continental Thai, Middle Eastern, also based on our travels.
Hmm.
I live by the memory of my palate, so to say. So if I've had a good meal somewhere, I want to replicate it. And if I've had a bad meal, I want to come home and erase that bad memory from my system.
That's
So
a great attitude, great way of
recreate that
looking at
meal.
things.
Yeah. So that's how I refined my skills. And there came a point where I got stuck with, how bhajiwalas in Bombay are. They
Hmm.
can be very pushy and they can be, that's their love language,
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
this guy, I used to buy my, content, the Chinese bhajiwala
Yes,
in
yes.
Dadar.
Chinese,
It's
yes.
a very Bombay term.
Yeah.
So I would buy my exotic ingredients from there. And
Hmm.
at one point, I didn't visit him for about 2 years when my dad was ill. And I went back one winter and said, Suresh bhai, undiyu ka saman chahiye. And Thai karika and all that. And I come back after a couple of errands and I see like 20 kgs of stuff lying there for me.
In
And I said,
Bangalore,
Suresh bhai, oh, in
in
Bombay,
Bangalore,
in Dadar.
in Bombay, Bombay. Okay. Yeah.
So I used to get my ingredients from there. So when you buy a Thai curry packet, it asks you to put kaffir lime, it asks you to put galangal, it asks you to put lemongrass, right? And I said, then why am I buying the Thai curry packet? I may as well buy the ingredients and make my
Hmm.
own paste, right?
Hmm.
So that's how it started. So I would make
Is
these,
that the Sindhi in you thinking of value?
not about value, about flavor.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
it's you don't mind spending 50 extra
Hmm.
rupees, but
Hmm.
you need you if I'm buying it for convenience, it needs to be convenient. I don't
Absolutely.
have to do a grocery run to open a
Yeah,
packet, right?
yeah, yeah.
That was my thinking. Like if it has to
Hmm.
be, it has to be complete.
Hmm.
So I used to buy ingredients to make Thai curry stash for the house, and at a time
Hmm.
like half kg, 1 kg, I would make and use
Hmm.
it for a few months, and then go back to Bombay again
Hmm.
and buy some more.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's when I realized he's trying to ensure my family eats well if I don't turn up again for a year or so. And every winter I make undiu and I share it with my friends and neighbors. And I would also have these pop-ups at a friend's farm where we would kind of thing. So coming back to, so I got stuck that year with 6 kgs of Thai curry paste when I, made the paste with the ingredients he gave me. And I said,
I
oh
think
gosh, this can feed a whole village.
whole of Bangkok probably won't have 6 kgs of Thai curry if you look for it. 6 kgs is a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
So uh, I sent it to a neighbor who does
Huh.
catering.
Hmm.
And I told her, why don't you taste it and see if you want to I can put it in little boxes for you and you sell it off as a Saturday special or something. She said, wait, I will first cook with it and give you my feedback. And that's literally how my journey started by having excess product and sending it to a friend who thought it was good enough to put on her menu. And she then slowly ensured that I made the whole range. She said, okay, Deepa, abhi green se bore ho gaye. Can we do red? Can we do
You do
yellow?
yellow. Yes.
And in 2 years, I had 21 products.
Wow. I just want to
It
make a
was,
point. I just want to
yeah,
make a point here. I just want to make a point here that nowadays, there's a lot about talk of zero waste, which is ingrained in us actually when we are growing up in any case. So in a way,
right.
zero waste is what led to your enterprise. Like you said, I mean, you were
That's right.
stuck with so much
It
of
was
Thai
a
curry.
happy accident.
Yeah,
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 it was
yeah,
a
yeah,
happy
yeah.
accident,
Please go ahead about you're talking about the 21 products.
Yeah. So, one by one, she started tasting whatever I was making at home for my girls, like pestos and pasta sauces, and I started, and I'm a little bit of a perfectionist like that. If I have a spice or a spice mix I'm using, it has to be great, not just good. Good is not good enough. So I would buy things from the store, and I said, no, this is not smelling fresh or
Hmm,
tasting fresh.
hmm,
Then look at the ingredients and come up with my own formula based on the ingredients I'm getting
hmm.
around me. So yeah, that was a lot of trial and error. Then I bought a weighing scale to calibrate everything
Wow,
so that I get the same taste all the time.
wow,
And that led to making a brand out of it called Mortars and Pestles.
wow.
And
And it was
that
all
I launched in
it was all hand
2018.
pounds. It was all hand pound stuff. So therefore the name hand pounded
Not
to the
unpounded totally, but
huh.
there I use different mediums, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
not totally ground only in
yeah.
mixers
Yeah. It's
because
not
there you
practical.
don't get.
Yeah. Also, it's not
And would you
practical in a.
believe it? I
Uh,
use a dosa.
you use a dosa.
Would you believe it? I use a dosa grinder to fry Thai curry paste. Yeah.
This is full, United Nations. Deepa, I'm just going to take you a bit back before, we continue after your, the brand this week.
Mm,
Now, you studied psychology at Sophia, which also is very famous as a college for its,
yeah.
catering and hospitality course. So I just want to go back a bit to your early days in Bombay, and when did your love
Hmm.
for food start, and how did it lead to this? Because it's not that you're a trained chef, you
No.
in that. So from young Deepa to psychiatry student, psychology student Deepa. So I don't know what you did in between to becoming like a zero waste or led entrepreneur. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll rewind to my teenage years and in the 80s. So, like now I've given away my age, I mentioned.
Yeah,
So,
I was also not that far. Yeah. We are both more or less. Yeah.
yeah. So in the 80s, India had just started getting influenced by international cuisine. Till
Hmm.
then, the restaurant scene was Mughlai. It was the club or the gymkhana kind of food, which was desi continental, if you
Hmm.
may call it,
Yeah, yeah. Chicken
and
a la Kiev
pizzas.
and chicken a la
Yes,
Kiev and
Gallops. I mean, yeah, we grew
yeah,
around there. The Gallops was a
yes,
go-to,
yes.
and pizzas had just started happening, and I now shudder when I think of the kind of pizzas we were dished out growing
Yeah,
up because
yeah.
those were pretty hard crusts,
But
and we had.
those are the closest we could get to the world of Archie's and, Pop Tates and Riverdale High.
That's right. We had started, the comics and that
Yeah, yeah,
fascination and
yeah,
trying out
yeah, yeah.
and trying to make those
Mm.
dishes. So, and we used to clip out articles, or there used to be actually recipe features and theme-based recipes in the women's magazines and sometimes in the weekend newspapers. So one would glean all that, cut it, file it away. So I started hosting my own birthday parties
Oh,
because I wanted to
wow.
do it. Yeah. So my mom said, if you want to have pizza, I'm not giving you that much money to go and
Uh,
blow up,
uh,
right? So I said, okay, this is my budget. That how do I work around it? So I started making pizza at home for my birthday. I once remember I even did Frankie's at
wow.
home. So
So you made the parathas and
that's
everything as well? In
absolutely
Frankie's, you made the
totally
wow. I can make
all of
great
it.
Calcutta rolls as long as I buy the Malabar parathas. Or our cook
No, no,
makes
no.
the
Everything
rotis.
happened.
Our cook makes the
Hmm.
rotis and I can make great egg rolls.
Right.
Yeah.
And before that, I used to even help my mom in the kitchen. There was one incident where my aunt, I mean, we were living like a two-family structure,
Hmm.
my aunt and her uncle and us. So my aunt was, expecting twins and she was on bed rest. My mom was a working woman and she had an attack of spondylosis. Both of them were laid up and somebody had to cook. So I took it on and I would, go to each of them, ask this, ask that, and keep continuing. And that led to lot more experiments in the kitchen while I was still in school. I
Hmm.
would actually assist my mom and my aunts at parties we held at home. So much so my Masi would have me stay with her when she was entertaining. And I was making spring rolls. I was
Wow.
making all kinds of things, matri. And the
Wow.
summer holidays, what do? You don't have TV all day. You
Yeah.
don't have phones, no internet. And mom used to do the main cooking and entrust me with going to the terrace and drying the wafers we make or making the khicha papad and stuff like that. So that those were joint efforts, pickling. And it ended up being like, there were 8 houses on our floor. So one
Yeah.
of the Gujarati bars, grandmother of the house, would say, Kal belan leke aana, which means we knew tomorrow is papad day. So we would all land up at the terrace. And that was a nice way to spend our holidays and learn
This is so
by
Mumbai.
observation,
Which part of Mumbai was this? Which part of
reach
Mumbai?
candy.
Beach Candy. Okay.
We lived at Warden Road, yeah.
Yeah. But that's so
So
Mumbai that different
a lot
communities
of
sort of
Gujarati.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then college, you never thought of doing
So
catering, hospitality, you went into psychology.
I wanted
Um,
to, but at that point, the fee structure was too high
okay,
for catering college, and
okay,
I had started earning my own money in
okay. Wow.
starting from grade 11 from
Wow, how?
junior college.
How was
I
that?
didn't want to. I was used to tutor. I used to
Tutoring.
tutor kids.
Wow, wow, wow.
So I was
From
paying
grade
my own
11, huh?
fee.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was paying my own college fees. I was buying my own books. I had total control and agency over where I needed to deploy my money.
And
And
this
if
was
I
this was
joined
out of
catering
choice? This was out of
out of
choice or
choice,
compulsion?
out of
Okay.
choice, out of
Wow,
choice.
wow, wow.
So, like, mom was working, dad's business was failing, and there was a little financial strain at home.
Hmm.
But I mean, she could have educated us. She educated all of us. there was no pressure to earn to that extent. But then all three of us took it on ourselves to fund our own education.
Wow. Wow.
So that mom could, deploy the money. And like today, she is happy because she has enough savings to see through her old age. She's not
How lovely.
dependent on anyone now. And she made us independent in the same time.
How lovely. Yes.
So then I said, I can't let go of this independence. I won't be able to earn. I'll be working, I mean, studying full time, working full time. So I chose to continue with BA, continue earning. And even at one point, I wanted to join art college. But even there, it would have been much more course load, much more
Yeah.
projects to do.
Yeah.
So I chose to continue with my BA. And psychology was the most sought after course. And I got
Yes.
in. So I was lucky.
Wow. In fact, my wife, Kanas, she did psychology from Jai Hind. And
Mhm.
then, of course, she's in advertising. In job. But she hopes that someday she'll be able to sort of train herself and be a counselor. Yeah, so I think
Right.
we are slowly awakening to the fact that what a crucial role psychologists and counselors can play in our lives. It's still a lot of
Especially in
mindset
coaching.
change. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Career coaching, life coaching, studying. So then after that, what did you work as? Was there any particular area? Did you keep
Uh,
jumping? Uh,
so I wanted to do music. All
okay.
right. I used to learn like Sophia, that way was a great college with so many opportunities. You had a music teacher on campus, and when you had your free hours, you could sign up for a music class.
Wow. Wow.
So I learned music in college, beginner level, 2 years. I did Hindustani classical, and somehow that led me to SPICMACE. It led me to getting a
Yeah.
scholarship from SPICMACE and from INLAC or INTAC, I don't know which one.
In lac,
To,
right? Or are they both? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
In lac scholarship.
So it got me an opportunity to study under Fariduddin Dagar of Bhopal.
Oh, wow.
And I got a scholarship. Train tickets were booked, but the Babri Masjid situation was blowing up. So I had to let go of that dream.
Mm-hmm.
And in the meantime, neighbors and friends of ours, the diamond industry was booming, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the 90s. And one of my neighbors said that, Deepa, why don't you come? My office needs help. My boss needs help. And so I just went. I said, okay, I don't have a job in hand. My results are yet awaited. So let me see if I like it. I'll stay on there. And this was a company that had offices in New York, in Hong Kong, in Japan, in Bombay, in Belgium, of course. So it was great exposure. I was the executive assistant to the chairman, but I was handling a lot of departments there. In the sense, and back then, these they were called Lala type companies where there was no corporate
Family. Yeah.
structure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Family,
Family polite way. You're
basically.
politically correct
Yeah,
as family. Yeah.
correct.
Yes.
So there was no corporate structure or this thing. So I chose my own designation. I called myself as executive assistant. And I used to handle all the entire travel portfolio, the communication portfolio, and things like that. And I was probably in that office the only one who had completed my graduation.
Wow.
So people from the diamond trade would say, "Are, tame to Cambridge ho," you know. It was a very sweet way of
Yeah.
saying that you
Yeah.
speak English so well. So yeah, I became director of a company there and helped launch one of India's first retail diamond jewelry brands.
Wow.
So that was my
Which was
corporate
that?
career, which
Which was
Geely,
GD, of course. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Geely,
Yeah. Yeah.
Gili,
Yeah. 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 Of
shut
course.
down
Yeah.
now.
But it was like a very big brand. Yes.
Unfortunate turn of events.
Oh,
Yeah.
So now I'm going to
So
take it a bit
that's where, and
ahead.
when I got married in
Huh.
96,
Sorry. Yeah. You're saying when you got married?
when I got married, I decided to take a year's break and
Huh.
then see, because, I was burnt out. We
Hmm.
were working 6.5 days a week
Hmm.
because it was a retail brand.
Hmm. Hmm.
Weekends were when we were doing our store launches, when we were
Hmm.
traveling,
Hmm.
and 15th August, 26th Jan, even holidays like these for other people meant that
Hmm.
we needed to assist the stores by
Hmm.
ourselves being on the floor with them to handle the footfall. So
Hmm.
I was quite burnt out. So I took a
Hmm.
break, and by the end of the break, baby number one was happening. So it became a very long break.
Or actually, you ended up doing more work than you maybe then your earlier burnout phase might have seemed like a break compared to raising a baby. Okay, so now it's very interesting because I saw your the foundation of Deepa in terms of the independence and financial independence, sort of being the master of her own life to like taking on and working in industry is completely, and I'm also guessing male dominated and taking so many aspects together. And now fast forward to a time when you have 21 brands and you're ready to sort of 21 products and ready to launch. So did that sort of grounding come of use now, or it was a fresh start?
Always,
Yeah.
yeah, I always believed in earning my keep. So even though I was technically not working for a good 18 years, what I was doing was helping style people's personal jewelry wardrobes.
Okay.
So being from the industry, I had my contacts, I had my friends who had then started their own companies,
Hmm.
and I would block production with them
Hmm.
to style jewelry wardrobes for people. So there are
Wow.
instances where I've styled jewelry for people from their, like, when they were pre-teens till their wedding day. I've seen that, and I would advise them on how to create their jewelry portfolio and
Wow.
not just buy from me, but I would help them select at other stores as well.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So
So like a
I
jewelry
was
stylist,
a
like a jewelry
jewelry
stylist.
stylist, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened after
And then Bangalore didn't have strong.
Bangalore didn't last long? Yes.
So that didn't continue in Bangalore because here I didn't have strong room facilities and I was
Hmm.
living outside the city. It was too risky. So
Yeah.
that was that chapter closed there.
So very interesting. So now jewelry to food, and then MasterChef India happened. So how did that happen? I mean, what made you think of applying to MasterChef India? What did you expect when you applied, and when you got in? Because it's such a huge competition, so
Bangalore,
many people
it
to
is.
get in. Yeah, yeah. Like the queues, literal
So,
queues to get in and compete itself are so huge. People fainting
right.
and whatnot. Yeah.
So what happens is, like, this was one more happy accident in my life. By then, the pandemic was ending in
Okay.
2022.
Mm-hmm.
And in the pandemic, I made a lot of wonderful associations with food bloggers and people like Rushina, Sangeeta, and
Mm-hmm.
all who are, like, very passionate about documenting food.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my morning ritual to log into Rushina's live on Spice Chronicles,
Yes, yes,
which
yes. To
was
the
a
pandemic, she
fascinating
was doing
series
it.
she
Yes,
did, right? The
yes.
pandemic. And on one of those lives, she was with Dr. Pushpesh Pant,
Mm.
and he mentioned a spice that people are very secretive about.
Okay.
And that spice mix is made in my husband's nanihal, like his nani's house.
Mm.
It's called Buknu. And I went, after she posted that live on her
It's a
grid,
Sindhi
I
spice.
went and
Bukno Bukno is a Sindhi spice.
no, it's I'm married to a Rajput,
Ah,
and
okay,
they
okay.
hail from Madhya Pradesh, UP
Oh, not the
connections, right?
Rajasthani not the
So
Rajasthani Rajput.
not Rajasthani
Oh
Rajput,
wow,
no.
wow, lovely
So
combination.
they,
Yes.
their family was based, Nanaji was based in MP, and my
Huh.
father-in-law's family is from UP.
Okay.
So his nani used to make this spice called buknu, and which I had tasted. I was making it for the family as well. And I went and commented on that live that it is a shame that somebody of Dr. Pushpeshpan's standing is being denied a recipe of buknu. So he said it's a lot of guesswork. Some people say there are 36 ingredients, and I've never been able to count that many. So I commented on Rushina's post that it's a shame that this recipe should be guarded with like it's national property. And so then she connected with me. She said, "Deepa, do you want to go live with this? Do you want to document it?"
Mm, mm.
And it got me thinking that if Dr. Pant has been denied that recipe, maybe there is something more to it. So I called up the current head of the family, Mahesh's oldest mama, and he told me, "No, no, tum de do recipe." I said, "But Nani had a condition
Uh,
that if I give you the recipe, you promise to make it and share it. You can't eat it alone." That was the
ah,
condition that you got the recipe on.
okay.
So
The
I
Nani,
said,
Nani was given the recipe on that condition. Ah, then
Nani
wow.
was giving it to the children and the
Ah, okay,
bahus and all, right?
okay, okay,
So when Nani would part with the recipe, the condition would be that you cannot eat it alone. You have to
okay.
make it and you have to share it. And trust me, Buknu is a very, very laborious process. You have to first wash all your ingredients, sun dry them, then you fry them in mustard oil, and then you grind it in the hammam dasta,
Mm.
in the iron mortar and pestle. And that takes a total of about 4 to 5 days to do.
Wow. Wow.
So he said, "No, no, you please, you can publish the recipe, you can share the recipe. I am giving you the liberty to do it. And even if you want to bottle it and sell it, please feel free to do so. Let my mother's legacy live on." So
Hello.
Ruchina said, "Okay, let's do a live around this
Hmm.
because let's, talk about this." And that's how I got connected with the Foodie Network on Instagram. Till then, I was just one person in Bangalore, occasionally posting about my flea market and pop-ups and things like
I
that.
also met you in
But
Rushina's.
after that live,
I met you in Rushina's. This
the
release
Godrej,
of her, the release of that
that's
her
Food Trends
food
report.
trends at Godrej. Yes, yes,
That's
yes,
when we first met, right?
yes, yes, yes.
So then I started contributing in the public space more and more through Rushina's lives, through my own work on Instagram and attending workshops. I think that was a fabulous year we had from May 2020 till mid 21, that we had so many workshops
Mid
lined up
23, mid 23. You said May
mid
2020,
21 when
21 to 22.
from May 2020
Ah, okay, 2020.
to
Yes.
21.
So within the lockdown period, you're
So
saying.
with the first hard lockdown, right?
Ah, yeah,
Uh, and
yeah.
that's when so many avenues opened up to learn online without
Wow.
being
In Buddhism, there's
transported.
this in Buddhism, which we practice, there's a concept of turning poison into medicine, taking an adverse situation and creating something great out of it. And of course, the pandemic and
Right.
COVID pandemic was as unfortunate as it gets. But still, out of that hardship, the fact that people could create so many wonderful things, including this, which is creating the country's
So
food
much
legacy ahead.
documentation. I
Yeah,
think
that's
so many
actually my
lives
this
that Dr.
this
Kurush Dalal did.
podcast. This podcast was also a lockdown baby. So I started April 20th, and it was all because we were locked in. Yeah.
Yeah. So so much knowledge was being shared, and I really benefited from that. And the kind of network it creates for you, with people like Dr. Dalal, with Shubhra Chatterjee, with Ruchi Srivastav. All these people became a community where we were attending workshops together, and it was, I think it was the most fruitful knowledge gaining year for me in
Wow.
my entire life. So yeah. So I think somebody was stalking me on Instagram because every post was being saved. It could be something very random. I rarely share recipes. And I'm like, what is this stalking happening, And turns out that I got a call from MasterChef. Now in Bangalore, they don't have public auditions. It's called
Okay.
what is a quiet audition or a silent audition, where
Hmm.
they kind of look at the Bangalore food space. And I have been very lucky. I was doing my pastes and spices were flying in the pandemic because the
Wow.
restaurants were
Yeah.
shut
Yeah.
and people were ordering as communities,
Hmm.
community orders would come in. So I was
Wow.
working in the day at home. And fortunately for me, my food studio is within the same gate. So I would be
Okay.
then working all night at my studio, creating my
Wow.
pastes and spices and packaging them, storing, and then taking in the orders and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So that was a very, very hardworking, but a very, very fruitful time for me in my personal growth as well.
Wow.
And I got featured in Condé Nast for the top 10 Bangalore home chefs.
Wow.
I got featured on LBB. So that kind of gave a lot of traction to my work. And I was happily busy, not being able to step out, but very, very occupied. And I think somewhere that out for likely contestants, they headhunt literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got a call. I was out with my daughter. She had just come back from uni in the summer, and we were out, at various errands. And I get this call saying that, okay, I'm calling from MasterChef, and we'd like you to come for the auditions. It's on so and so date. And I thought somebody's pranking me. I had never dreamt of being a MasterChef. I had never thought I'd apply or I'd even get in.
Yes.
Okay. So I said, look, I'm busy. You call me after 5. And promptly the call came. And I said, okay, now this looks serious. I said, okay, then how does one go about it? So he said it's next Sunday. And you fill in this form and send us
Hmm.
pictures of your food and your social media handles. And we'll take it from there. Let's see. And I said, okay, Sunday hai, kadi chawal was being made. So I said, okay, I'll take a slightly fancied, jazzed up version of kadi chawal
Hmm.
and let's see what happens.
Hmm.
And we were told to bring 2 portions. I said, okay,
Okay.
fine. I said, if nothing else, I'll feed the judges some kadi chawal and come back home.
Yeah.
You know. So there was one screening where they taste and see your presentation, your whatever. Then they call you back, whoever selected that day, and they call you again in
Hmm.
the same afternoon.
Hmm.
So I did my presentation all over again and had a chat. And they said, okay, come. And a week later, I get a call say, okay, come for the Hyderabad audition now.
Okay.
I said, okay. So I landed up in Hyderabad. And again, same story. And by then they were like studying what you're doing, right?
Hmm.
Obviously,
Hmm.
these are big shows with a lot of effort goes into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they have to be very thorough with their end of the research as well as to
Hmm.
who they're bringing on board.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so they said, okay, why don't you do some Thai fusion and stuff like that? I said, okay, that's when I gave it a thought and I said, no, I do Thai food and I think I do it reasonably well to have a successful business. But
Hmm.
what I want to come there with is my community's food,
Hmm.
and which saddens me that we have a good cuisine which has seen fusion influences for about 200 years
Natural
and
fusion.
it's still not available.
Natural fusion.
Natural fusion, yeah,
Yes. Right.
yeah.
Because the Sindhi community has been
And
across
it's
the
not
world,
like this
moved across the world. The Sindhi community
totally.
has moved across the world. Yes.
And since the 1800s, and even before that, when you look at the trade routes in the Middle East and further towards eastern part of the world. So we've been travelers, and obviously back then there were no Patel brothers and all, no, who will sell you Indian groceries.
Yes.
So people had to take very little of what they and stretch it and then adapt with what was available locally, which is
Hmm.
how we make macaroni in a pressure cooker with Indian spices, you know.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to come there if I am allowed to speak about and showcase my community cuisine rather than international cuisine. And they said, let's see where this goes. So I did 2 dishes for the Hyderabad audition. I did a Thai flavored risotto And I again took my kadhi chawal. So,
Okay.
but I think kadhi chawal won over the risotto. They said, okay, uh, we like what you're saying, and we think you have a story worth telling, you know. And that's how the journey began, you
So
know.
is that
And
did you meet the main judges at that point? The main
in
judges for the
Hyderabad, I met them with my Sindhi curry. So I'd taken both the dishes,
huh.
and I was not convinced about the Thai dish. So there's a pre-screening, you know, every time there's two
Hmm.
levels, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So before you meet the judges, they will screen you and,
Hmm,
you know,
hmm,
sift you out. So then you go
hmm,
back the next day.
hmm.
So I was very convinced about my kadhi chawal, and we had such a beautiful conversation with chefs Vikas, Ranveer, and Chef Garvin. Sorry, and the three of them, Chef
Sorry,
Garima, Chef Vikas,
Asha
Chef.
Karim. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So it was, I think, over half an hour that I spoke with them, and we were talking about, you know, how even the Punjabis have
Correct.
faced the more gruesome part of the partition.
Hmm, hmm.
And that's how the audition went. What you see on screen was, I think, I was lucky I got 9.5 minutes as audition screening
Wow. Wow.
on air. And that audition went viral.
Wow.
Uh,
The audition
you know,
itself
the
went
day
viral.
the audition went viral when it was aired. It was aired a
Okay,
few days later,
okay, okay.
obviously, because shooting and
Hmm,
editing happens
hmm.
before. And when that audition was aired, I got voice notes and DMs from Sindhis around the world, no matter which side of the border they came from. And it was very touching, you know.
And this is the most basic dish, right? Sindhi dish like curry chawal. It's it's like bhat dal, or it's not that you did something like fancy or some wedding food, or some
Nothing,
yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
It's
It's
a
like har
very
mein jo banta hai. It's like in every
it's
Sindhi
a Sunday
office.
dish,
Yeah.
but it's vegetarian. It doesn't even use onion and garlic,
Wow.
you know.
Hmm.
But it has so many layers of flavor, and
Hmm.
also I made the extra effort of, you know, jazzing it up with
Of course. Yeah.
lotus stem crisps and with making my own bundi. And the aloo tuk was made much smaller. What I realized, you know, when I was auditioning, when the judges eat, they like to take everything in one spoon.
Yes. Yes.
So I tweaked the size of the tuk so
Yeah.
that when they eat the kadhi chawal, the tuk should come in the spoon as well.
Oh.
Normally, a tuk is a spoonful by
Yeah.
itself. It's a mouthful.
Tuk is
It's quite
just for
large.
people who don't know, it's this lovely sort of double fried potato, right?
That's right.
Which my wife and I can't get enough of. And any Sindhi we meet, we keep giving these hints. Unfortunately, we're in Bangalore, but next time come to. Remember, Deepa, we love cook. Yeah,
Yes, I will.
yeah. So
So
you made these
that's how it
bite-sized
happened.
sort of portions, yes.
I made the bite-sized tuk, and I think it was very well received. And I got a chance to talk about uh, the migration, the re-establishing our lives, and things like that. And I think while people are aware of it, they don't realize that Sindhis have taken it in their stride. I saw it in my grandmother. She didn't mourn the partition. We never heard complaints from her. Aisa tha, ab kya hai? You know, there was never that regret. Maybe she blocked it somewhere, you know, like how
Mm,
in PTSD, people who
mm,
suffer from PTSD tend to block out certain
mm, mm,
emotions and
mm,
events from their
mm,
mind. And but we were born in independent India, and
mm,
while we didn't feel the pain, but we felt the need of having rootedness, which we couldn't get.
mm, mm, mm,
Personally, like
mm.
when we were in school and you go back from your summer holidays, and then people say, मैं गांव गई थी, मेरा आजी के घर गई थी इधर. And for me, the whole center of our existence was Bombay,
Yes.
right? And so you felt cheated that I don't have a native place to go back to.
Mm.
I don't have a hometown. I don't have a village. I don't have these old vadas or these old homes to go and run around in.
Actually,
And there were
same in my case because my folks on both sides came from East Bengal, and
Okay.
uh, and then my grandpa used to work in Delhi, so that's hardly like. But by the time we moved into India, I was born abroad. He had retired and come to Calcutta, so hometown was another part of Calcutta. So yeah, I mean, and my father's side had also settled in Calcutta. So yeah, I mean,
Right. So,
yeah,
I
no
think you
native Calcutta.
identify it
Yeah,
because you don't have a
yeah,
village, you don't
yeah,
have an origin.
yeah.
And at least the Bengalis have a Bengali speaking region in India.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah, yeah,
Punjabis have a
yeah.
Punjabi speaking region.
Of course, yeah.
Sindhis
Don't even have that.
neither had it nor were given it. So we had to, like, you
Mm,
know,
mm,
we didn't put up that great a fight because the bigger fight was sustenance.
mm, mm,
So yeah, those stories kind of led me to dig deeper. And I had
mm.
not just for MasterChef, but even way before the pandemic, I was doing food pop-ups, like I said, at my friend's
At your
farm.
farms, yeah.
And I had done this winter-themed lunch pop-up once. And I'm a Bombay girl, grown up around Gujaratis. I love flying kites.
And you make
And
undhiyu, and you make
Bangalore,
undhiyu,
especially,
and you make undhiyu.
I make undiyu. Yes,
Yeah.
I make undiyu. I'm very fond of the green garlic in the winters, which these are
Lilu
things you
lasan,
don't find.
lilu lasan,
Lili lasan,
lili lasan. Okay.
and that's a Sindhi obsession as well.
Uh,
We put it in fish, we put it in our dhoda, the jawar ka paratha
yeah,
that we
yeah,
make.
yeah.
So yeah, those things were the ones that I would get back from Suresh Bhai, who gave me 20 kilos of stuff.
Uh,
It will so. And I had been to Jaipur just at the beginning of winter in
mm.
2018, and I got back to over 200 kites because kite flying was an obsession with me in my teenage years.
Yeah,
See, in college, I was earning my own money.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I would wander around, Muhammad Ali Road and these pockets where you would get like fantastic kites
Yes.
and manja.
Uh,
And I was one of the few girls flying kites in my building. So yeah, so I created my childhood in Bangalore at this
yeah.
taste of winter.
And if Mahesh upset you, your husband, you can just give a kite and say, "Go fly a kite." That's true. Okay, now in interest of time, I'm just going to again. So MasterChef India happened, and then you came out of it with
Hmm.
a creditable ninth position, which is like huge. So how did that experience change you? And you went into MasterChef with a certain Deepa, and how was post MasterChef Deepa separate from? Was she different first of all? Like in terms of
I think
confidence, or
Post MasterChef, my biggest earning and my biggest learning is how you get agency when you get a voice, and it's up to you how you want to tap into it and utilize it. That has been my biggest learning, and um, a lot of surprise that Sindhi food was received the way it was, and it gave me a worldwide platform. Let's not deny it. Uh, it gave me a voice and these are judges who have millions of people who are following them on social media, and their confidence in me, their praise for the food, their praise for the culture, and their being able to identify with the Sindhi narrative gave me a huge push. When I came back, of course, 3 months of being away from home and being out of touch with everything, I took my time to come back onto social media and advocate or do things, but I needed to re energize myself and
right?
focus my thoughts. See, when
Hmm.
you come out of MasterChef, you are very tempted to become a content creator, you're very tempted to do collaborations and things like that. And not many people know that my husband runs an ad agency and I'm also a partner and director in it. So I didn't want any conflict of interest. So till date, I have not done a single collab. And
Like a
the
brand
reason
collab.
is like a brand collab, because I may do it for a few thousand, but if a similar brand comes to our ad agency, it comes for a few lakhs. So that's a very conscious decision I've taken of not being penny wise and pound foolish, that I don't take paid collabs at all. If I'm giving a shout out to a business, it's probably something I've paid for or I've come to love, you know. It's never a paid collab. So, and that refined my thoughts into digging deeper. Like I presented Sindhi food, I knew a certain amount of what my family was doing. And there are brilliant people out there like Alka Keswani of Sindhi
Yes.
Rasoi. I think you
Yes.
know her,
Of course,
right?
yes.
They have been doing this work of advocating for Sindhi food for, I think, 15 years now. Alka has been doing it since
He's one of the
2008.
pioneers, yes.
Right.
Okay.
And I felt that, you know, I need to now, I can never be as knowledgeable as Alka, but I need to study a little more to be able to bring out more to the people. Like we are known for kadi chawal, we're known for koki, we're known for papad.
Dal
Those are the
pakwan.
three things. Dal
Dal
pakwan,
pakwan.
yeah. Dal pakwan has now become very so universally accepted that it's not identified only as
Yeah,
Sindhi
because
anymore.
Punjabis also make it.
Absolutely. It's become a national snack, so to say.
Yes.
So I said, I need to move beyond these iconic known dishes and, you know, dig deeper, go back into my own childhood memories, speak. So while I was quiet on Instagram and on documenting videos and things like that, I was studying. I was researching. I was talking to people. I traveled a bit. I went and spent time with my daughter, who I hadn't seen much when I was locked up in MasterChef. So and now I've come back with, I think, a fairly good idea of what I want to do after MasterChef. I think it's strengthened my resolve to speak for my community's cuisine. We're losing our language. You know, Sindhi as a language is not, it is recognized, and it took, I think, the elders in our community, it took them a good 15 years to get the language included as part of the constitution, so that the language is not lost. And the language has a lot of emotions and a lot of references hidden in it, like which get lost if you don't use the language. Like we have a, you know, a simple thing that we say is called Matthejo Sur. Matthejo Sur literally means a headache, but it also is it's also used to define somebody who's a pain in the butt, you know. So these kind of references and nuances get lost when you don't use the language. I said we are on the brink of losing our language. Let's not lose our food, you know. And which is why I'm now working. Even at 50 plus, I stand for 14 and 16-hour days. You've seen me at work in Bombay.
Yeah. Is there a
And those,
significant Sindhi community in Pakistan today? Where I mean, is
of course, Sindh is a
because
region.
Sindh
It's
is
one of,
Hyderabad, right? Hyderabad is the capital of Sindh in
no, no, no,
Pakistan.
no. Sindh uh, moves from, like, we have borders in Kutch and Rajasthan, which is also part of Sindh in Balochistan. Sindh is large, but it's a lot of desert landscape. And let's not forget the river empties itself into the Sea of Karachi. You know, Sindh is huge.
This is Indus, the river.
The Indus River, the Sindhu River. So it empties, it comes from, I think, near Tibet, comes through India, comes into Pakistan, and empties itself into the Arabian Sea.
So is there
Could be wrong,
similarity? Sorry, go ahead. You said you were saying something.
but that's the way the river flows. And Sindh is huge. So it's got mountains, it's got the desert, it's got the river, it's got everything. It's got valleys, it's got large expanses where when the river was in spate, rice would be sown, you know. So Sindh is not just a small region. It is
So
a
then there'll be a lot of diversity
significant,
within Sindh also. Within Sindhi food and
exactly,
customs
which is
also there'll be very diversity. Yeah.
very, even the language, the dialect and the accent differs. So I come from the slightly northern part of Sindh, which is Shikarpur, which is closer to Quetta.
Better.
Then
Yeah.
you have Karachi, which is somewhere 500 kilometers away. And then you have Hyderabad, which is a little on the interior. Then you
Mm.
have the Tharparkar region, which borders with Rajasthan and Kutch. It's a
Okay.
very large region. It's not just a tiny blob in Pakistan. There are, I think, millions of Sindhis using the language and continuing the customs in Pakistan as well.
So when
I
you've
mean,
taken
and I
so when you've taken on the role of being an ambassador of Sindhi food, that's a huge responsibility because what you're representing is like a huge culture which is slowly receding. So like the responsibility on you is pretty huge. Yeah.
Yeah, being named by Femina as the custodian of the cuisine, that was
Mm.
huge last summer
How does it make you
because
feel?
they
Does
were
it make
seeing,
you how do those sort of accolades make you feel? Like top 12 home chefs in Bangalore. More importantly, custodian of Sindhi. When you read that, how does it make you feel?
it makes me want to study. It also makes me feel the responsibility of not misrepresenting. Um, so it is a huge responsibility, but I would like to continue studying, and I have immense support from the community. Whoever I pick up the phone on, there's Meeta in Bombay, there's
Mm.
Alka.
Beta,
There
yes, of
are
course. Yeah.
there are many other people who I call up when I'm stuck for ingredients or I'm stuck for methods. They have been a great source of support. I have neighbors here, my own family, friends who are Sindhi. They have all contributed to this journey. And within Bangalore, there is a Bangalore Ladies chapter of the Sindhi community that
Oh
actually
wow.
published a cookbook,
Okay.
which they, documented the recipes by actually trying and cooking them and then publishing. So it was a diaspora effort. It was not, it does, that book doesn't contain the name of an author because the entire community has helped create it.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So, and that's my effort now to try and learn as much as I can and bring it out to the world as and
Wow.
when.
So you've now become a culinary student, which you couldn't be when you wanted to, but in a completely like. I also like the fact that today everyone's in so much of a hurry, and especially the younger generation. Maybe when we were younger, then we were also in a
Mhm.
hurry. But
I
but the
still feel
fact,
30, yeah.
no, that's what I'm
I
saying.
still feel
So that's what I'm saying. So maybe when we were like 20, we would have been that much of a hurry. But the point I'm making is that you finished MasterChef on a high, but you took some time out to retrospect, not like immediately jump on the bandwagon. So I think that gave you a lot of clarity and also focus. So now what next, Deepa? I mean, you were studying to understand your cuisine more, and so that's the inward part of it. And what are you now planning to do? Going ahead. Like I know you're doing collaborations in hotel you did in Dehradun, and then at Taj Lands in Bandra, where one went and had a fascinating. How was the reception to that? Because Mumbai is probably the city with the highest, like same with Parsis, the highest proportion of Sindhis, at least visible Sindhis. So
right,
you
right.
would feel in Mumbai that in Sindhi food I
I
know
think
this is.
my
So
goal
how was
is to
yeah
serve, my goal
yeah
is to serve Sindhi food to non-Sindhis for the
mm,
main part because we know
mm,
and we love our food, right?
mm,
And we kept it as a nice secret for so many
mm,
decades.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
and MasterChef has given me the agency to approach larger hotels
mm, mm,
and for them to take me seriously,
mm,
especially after being named the custodian of the cuisine,
mm.
uh, to explore these food festivals. And I think there are some great conversations that happen. I'm not just cooking, but I'm also interacting with the
Front of
guests
stuff.
who come
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
And most people, if not all, have these memories of, sneaking into their friends, Sindhi friends' dabbas, or going to their homes and having a great time. And I'm taking them back to those kind of memories. And for some people, like in Bombay, there were a lot of Gujarati patrons
mm,
at the Taj. And literally on the last night, we suddenly had a 12 top table with mainly Gujarati guests.
mm,
And they are very frequently visiting the Taj Land's End for their meetings or meetups or whatever. And the waiter comes and tells me, "Ma'am, इनको ना आज कुछ अलग खाना है. So, do you have enough prep for 12
mm,
people for Sindhi food?"
mm,
I
mm.
said, "I'll keep sending in parts, but trust me." And they were quite happy to see that I was making a lot of Vaishno food. See, it was the beginning of summer when I did that,
Mm,
and I
mm,
made sure that I respect the rhythm of the earth when I'm doing a
mm.
pop-up. Like when I
Yes,
did it in Dehradun, it was the start of winter. So there was a
yes.
lot of comfort food, there was a lot of meat, there was a lot of
Mm,
non-vegetarian. But
mm,
for the Bombay pop-up, it was more of vegetarian, no onion, garlic,
mm.
very minimal spicing. And people, I think, have received it well.
Yes.
Even you
Yes.
enjoyed your
Oh, I did.
keema tikki.
Yeah, and no, and even actually the whole meal, and for me also there were memories because our the first gentleman from whom we bought our apartment was Sindhi, our had colleagues was Sindhi, and in Calcutta I had a classmate who was Sindhi, and I remember going to his house because he'd missed a few days in school because he'd choked on a chicken bone, and taking the homework to his house and all that. And then he said, "You have lunch?" I said, "No." So he said, "No, my grandfather's rule at home is that if someone comes home at lunchtime, you have to have lunch." So I said,
That's
"Okay."
every Sindhi for you, huh?
Yeah,
We will
yeah,
not send you without feeding
yeah.
you.
And he said it's a rule. So I said,
Yeah.
"Okay." So yeah. So Deepa, what next? Like in terms of um, how can people sort of reach out to you or gain from what you're doing? Like, I mean, is your mortar and pestle business still on?
Not wherever I'm on a restaurant menu,
Huh.
the food is still going. I mean, the mother sauces and pastes are
Hmm.
still going to restaurants in Bangalore.
Hmm.
Um, but what I'm concentrating now for this year, definitely, and maybe next year too, I want to take Sindhi food across India, and I want to try and take it to international destinations as well.
So
So
what
there
what
are
sort of what sort of support would you want for that? Like, what would help your dreams come true? Like, what do you need? You know.
connecting with executive chefs of various hotels and
Hmm.
getting that platform.
But
Because
don't you
I
feel that
see
if
as a
if you
community,
if you if you are doing it um, at luxury hotels only,
hmm,
doesn't that limit the spread because then you're reaching out only to a certain section of society. So it's not going a bit deeper.
so let's rewind about 50, 60, 70 years, Kalyan. Our
Hmm,
food has remained at the lower level, very budget friendly, very
hmm,
accessible, very tasty and fresh. If you go to
hmm,
Ulhasnagar, you will not find bad food, right?
hmm,
You go to Chembur, there are some iconic Sindhi
hmm,
eateries.
hmm, hmm.
But the food has not moved out of those community pockets. The
Okay.
community travels the world. The community
Hmm,
hosts these lavish weddings at 5 stars
yeah, yeah.
and never complains that we don't get Sindhi food at your hotel. But
Hmm,
what is happening is kids like mine, and lots of us have kids living away from home. They come home to India for a few days for, ghar ki shadi, weddings,
yeah,
and things like that. So when they're abroad, they're not eating the food of their childhood. When they
hmm,
come back home, the wedding is at a destination, so you're eating what the hotel is serving you.
hmm,
And that
hmm,
does not happen to be Sindhi food,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
And it hurts me. We've had weddings in our family where we booked the entire hotel during the pandemic. An entire 5 star property was booked, and we didn't get a single morsel of Sindhi food. And the hotels have their rules, right? You
hmm,
cannot, as a guest, say that I'm going to come and cook. No, it's not
hmm,
allowed.
yeah,
But
yeah.
now, thanks to MasterChef, I have this agency to be able to get into the professional kitchens and
Hmm.
take the food there, train the chefs. Now, if a lot of people tell me, why haven't you opened a restaurant? But if I am one person in one location, I will have only that limited impact.
Also, like you
But
said
if
that, I mean, you have this agency. Like I mean, not everyone will have this advantage. So then
No,
maybe in a sense, it would be irresponsible to not use it.
right.
Yeah. So
And
that's
I'll
interesting.
also tell you something that when food travels,
Hmm.
sometimes it travels from the bottom of the society to the top of the society,
Bottom
and
up.
that's a very hard climb. Sindhi food has not been
Yeah.
able to reach. The easier route for food to
Hmm.
travel is from top down,
Stop down.
because
Yeah.
then it is
Yeah.
an
I mean, if you look at it,
aspirational.
the British food in Calcutta, like it's come down to the roadside place, like the cutlets and all of that.
Earlier, it
But I
was
don't think,
confined to a few restaurants and the
yeah.
clubs.
And Nietzsche say
And
Bengali food wouldn't have gone to the British things or even up. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly my point. So, and I'm seeing that I met a musician in Bombay when I was in there earlier, and he had recently come from Bhilwara in Rajasthan, where he told me that, I was looking for good food one day, and my host told me that, come, I'll take you to a Sindhi restaurant in
Mm.
Bhilwara in Rajasthan, which is a smallish town.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
said, Babaji, I was speaking to the people there, and they said they have taken inspiration from your journey in MasterChef, where
Wow.
international judges
Wow.
liked your
Wow.
food, and which
Wow.
is where we decided to start a restaurant
Yeah.
serving Sindhi food. And
Wow.
that's what makes me happy.
Wow.
I will not be able to reach everywhere. But if
Wow.
people aspire to it by seeing it in a five-star hotel or seeing it on
Mm.
TV and they
TV.
want to
Yes.
recreate, right?
Mm.
And that gives you a far wider reach than you can
That's
ever imagine as a single person working independently in Bangalore.
yeah. Be it a home chef or a restaurant or whatever.
Whatever. And,
Yeah.
by not having my own confines of, commercial commitments to running a restaurant, running a very large establishment, I am free to travel and I've become the proverbial Sindhi who is a traveling gypsy going everywhere. Earlier they used to go to trade, now I go to feed.
No, and it's it's also a very important point you made because I was recently reading somewhere or a talk about this entire thing of privilege versus like this thing, and the person said that it's if one has a privilege, there's no need to be apologetic about it as long as one uses that privilege to create good, which you are doing. So I would love to keep chatting with you, Deepa, like we did that day at Starbucks on the corner till they were ready to throw us out. But I think your journey is very, very inspiring, and I think that is going to give a lot of ideas to people in terms of both how to conduct their life as well as what to do with their own food, and to sort of value it and feel proud of it. And yeah,
And
so
I'm so delighted to see so many cuisines being represented. Currently, MasterChef Australia has a Tamilian chef. Um, Last season of India's MasterChef had people advocating for Meghalayan food, for Mangalorean food. And how beautiful is that, Our country and the entire world, for that matter, has so many beautiful cuisines. And I
yes,
think they need to come forth and shine.
wonderful. And I love this. I love what you're saying that there's one school of thought which is to um, bring Indian food into a global format, and that's of course important. But I love this school of thought, which is saying that, there's so much richness there that we just need to tap into that. So great, Deepa. Thanks
You
for
need
talking.
to know the original to learn appreciate
Yeah,
the fusion.
absolutely. I remember, my uncle had told us ages back that you need to understand alcohol first before you have cocktails. So, so on that note, thanks a lot, Deepa. Thanks for spending the time with us, and all the best for your efforts to spread
Thank you,
the
Kalyan. Thank you
love of
so
Sindhi
much.
food across the world. Thank you.
I hope to take it everywhere.
Absolutely. All the best.